Hey guys, welcome back. I'm basically going to show you how I do my contour. I use powder foundation, liquid foundation, and cream foundation to set my contour, highlight, and basically my face. That's how I chisel it out and fab it up. So if you're ready to see how I do it, stay tuned. Okay, so let's get started. As you can see, I've already polka dotted my face with this concealer. It is the NW25. It is a little lighter than my shade. However, I'm anemic, so my skin has very blotchy spots. So what I do is get this concealer and I go through my face and find the spots and kind of bring warmth to it a little bit, so it's not as white and fluorescent when I put on my contour and my foundation. So we already did that with the Studio Finish Concealer NW25. So now I'm going to go through my first with my transition, so which will be my NC43 right here. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to speckle it onto my face and use that as my transition color as a base, and then I build on top of it. Some people do this the opposite way, but I do that what's best for me, and it helps me blend all of it together when I have a bottom shield. I don't go all the way underneath the eye because then it's going to cake, and because I have fine lines already, I don't want to make those more prominent. So I'm just stippling this on. Oh, and I'm using the Bare Minerals Precision Face brush. It's my favorite nail stippling brush. It's usually made for buffing out a powder or a foundation, but I like the way it applies because, again, my face is blotchy in color. So this basically gets it all where it needs to be without all the problems, like the streaking and the intensity of all this makeup on my face. It just basically helps me do a full face without looking like I have one, if you get what I mean. Okay. And I always do my ears and my neck and my décolleté. Alright, so that's how it looks. Make sure I get underneath my nose when I do my lips. Okay, so that's the finished look on my base coat. Basically like your nails. You do a base coat, color it, and then you do a top coat. So now I'm going to detail my face with, so now I'm going to detail my face with Dark Deep. And this is a mineralized skin finish product. It's not as heavy as you think it is. It actually goes on quite well applied the right way. So I'm going to be using my 109 MAC brush. So what I do is I use the mirror. So I buff it in and then I tap it here on the mirror. And then I apply that on what I want more depth in. So here we go. And I'm just putting it in the hollows. Of my skin, and I'm rotating it up in small little circles going towards the front of my forehead because I want a fluid look all the way around. I don't want it to look like, oh, she started her contour there. And I drag it all the way up. And again, small circles are your best friend. And always go upwards, not downwards, because we want tight skin, not saggy frowns, if you get my drift. Okay, so that's how it's looking. Really in depth right there in the cheeks. I don't bring it all the way down. So now we're going to do this side. Again, buff, tap, buff, tap. Okay, now I'm going to do the jaw. I'm going to do it from the ear down to right here. I don't go anything farther than that because you can see my chin has a little layer here and I don't want to make that prominent. So, now if you do this correctly, you're going to have a smaller face. You do this wrong, it's going to look like you have a 5 o'clock shadow. So, be careful how you apply, and remember, buff it till it's your best friend so that you can get the right look you're looking for. Remember, to the ear and right where the line starts to curve into my chin, and I'm buffing that out. So now I just made my face smaller, if you can see. Real Technique brush, the Expert Face Brush, and I'm using the Light Plus Mineralized Skin Finish. And all I'm doing here is going underneath where I made it hollow. Going a little bit under the cheek. This is not my highlight. Again, I'm just setting this with a light mineralized finish because this is how I do my full face contour, highlight, and foundation. Okay, Cupid's bow and lift, and I'm going to hit that middle. Okay, so there you go. That's what I do with my face. So I have the contour, the highlight, and then I brought my contour all above my forehead to give the same texture way around, and I cut my neck to give it a more thinner and shapier look without it being so round. I'm going to get my Studio Fix NC43, and I'm going to use a buff powder brush like this. And same thing, same technique. I'm going to put the powder on and do it again. And all I'm doing is patting on like a powder puff. As you saw in my other videos, you're like, what in the world is she doing? Is she beating her face? I really am beating my face because I am sticking all that loose powder onto what I just made and blending it in. This is the finished look. I use for my concealer is a number 2 Mix Master, and I use 2 pumps, 1, 2. I use my Japanese brush right here. You can see a lot of my videos. This is my go-to brush for my concealer. And I'm going to go underneath my eyeball and squish that product in my face. Okay, do the same thing on the other side. I don't go beyond my lash line because I don't want to bring my highlighter all the way to the side of my head, because then it defeats the purpose of doing my contour right here. Okay, so once I do that, I get my beauty booty right here and I use the butt. And then I turn around, use the nipple. Do it again on this side, butt. And then nipple. Apply a Prep and Prime translucent powder today. But right now I'm using what I know that works best. And then I'm just going to press this into my concealer that I just pressed so that it does not move and it stays put. And I also do this to my eyes so that you know, in this area right here, because my lids are so creased, like you see, crease. I do them right here in this corner, so then when I close my eyes or I sweat, I don't have that like missing product right there. This helps it stay in its place where it needs to be. So once I do that, I've just finished my highlight, contour, a little bit of shine in here to kind of give it more oomph, and did my neck and my ears. I'm going to go ahead and do my blush. Now, I use eyeshadows sometimes as blushes. We can all do it. And no one says you can't. Right here. Well, not a baby brush. I use the Expert Face brush. This is a clean brush right here. And I'm using petal powder as my blush. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you a trick that I do. So, I press it in right here on the apples. Do the same thing. Tap and slap. Okay, so now I'm going to use my eyeshadow. I'm using my Rusty Metal X Cream Shadow, which is this color right here. It's like a rose gold. Using the same brush, I'm just pushing it in. Now I have a color that no one else will have. It is the Jeniyah blend of the Petal Powder and the Rusty Metal X Cream Shadow. And that's how I contour. So there you have it. That's how I do my contour, my highlight, and how I blend it all together to give you this full face finish. I thank you for stopping by and giving me the comments to get you on my 4-way plan on how I do my contour. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. And just share us, subscribe to us, like us, follow us, of course. And if you should have any questions, leave them in the comment box below so we can hit you up with the answers that you need. Thank you so much for watching. Be blessed and share your success. Bye.